New York Governor Kathy Hochul vetoing a bill that would have permanently required two-person crews on New York City subway trains. Now, she says higher costs and the need for future technology upgrades are what determine the decision. It's always about money, isn't it, with the MTA? The Transport Workers Union pushing back. They warn that this move opens the door to eliminating conductors entirely. Let's bring in the international president of the Transport Workers Union, John Samuelsen. John, okay, so walk us through the concerns here for these conductors.
So first of all, the conductors are on the subway cars right now.
Yeah.
So we have a contractual right for the conductors. What we did is we put a bill through the Assembly and the Senate of New York State, delivered it to the governor, and expected the governor was going to side with the riders of the New York City subway system who want the conductors in place. They understand the safety element of the conductor as they go to work every day, and we wanted the governor to side with the workers and enshrine this right in New York State law. She refused. She sided with the other issues. It's really not about money. The MTA is flush with cash right now. They have congestion pricing money. They have a lot of money from other sources. In the past, they were taking money out of the fare box to pay for capital projects. They no longer have to do that because of congestion pricing. So it's not about money. It's ultimately about powerful interests in New York City who want to eliminate headcount in the New York City subway system to the detriment of public safety. So it's really all about what is societal good.
How are you and your members feeling about tonight when Zohran Mamdani becomes the next mayor of New York City?
So I think there's some mixed feelings. I think that there's certainly a belief that Zohran will support public transit workers in our battle over things like conductors and automation of the transit system. I think there probably is a bit of a concern about policing in the subway. We suffer 5 assaults a week as New York City transit workers. Imagine that, 5 transit workers are assaulted a week in New York. If that was any other work group in the country, they would bring in the National Guard to stop it.
I ride the subway every day, and I'm not surprised. And I was going to ask you if the conductors feel safe, and they don't. I can't blame them.
Do you want somebody making sure that the train is safe?
Of course I do. But these conductors are they're very hardworking. It's a very difficult job, and safety is a massive concern in the subway
Absolutely.
system. Still,
when you think about, so you were a subway conductor at one time?
A track worker. I'm a track worker by trade.
Which sounds even more difficult.
We don't face assaults like a conductor or a bus operator, but we do the heavy lifting and the heavy work inside the subway.
What's the economic argument that one could make to support your position of why the workers are needed, separate from safety? Safety is we'll just accept that as an absolute. What's the economic debate that you would have with the governor if she was sitting in front of you?
Well, first of all, I think the main economic debate is that the presence of the conductor and the 2-person train crew is a pittance compared to the overall budget. And it's $800 billion a year, $800 million a year in subway evasion, in fare evasion, $1 billion a year in wasteful conductor and wasteful consultant spending. When we talk about the cost of the conductor, it's a pittance compared to that. And in terms of service delivery and the services that the conductor provides for New York City transit riders makes it an absolute no-brainer.
Well, they become the custodian of the New York City asset. Isn't that how I should think about it? They're the person that's on the subway, making sure that the asset is protected, make sure the fares are collected, make sure the people are safe. Is that the way to frame it?
Yeah, they don't make sure the fares are collected, but they absolutely make sure that New York City transit riders are protected. They have a history of doing that. If you look at about 3 years ago, a madman entered the train at 4th Avenue, 36th Street in Brooklyn, threw smoke grenades into the train, pulled out a Glock, fired 33 shots, injured many people, and it would have been far more horrific if our conductors didn't evacuate folks off the train. We can go back further than that to the attacks on the World Trade Center. If it wasn't for our conductors and the 2-person train crew pushing people onto the trains, not evacuating them onto the trains, there would have been much more death and destruction that day if it wasn't for our conductors and the 2-person train crew. It really is a no-brainer that the conductor and the human presence in the subway is much better for New York City transit riders.
We talk a lot about AI here on Fox Business, but AI is expanding across all sectors of the economy, but it should impact millions of American jobs. There's this new report from MIT, this is Sloan School of Management, finding about 1.1 million workers in the transportation sector could be affected by the rise of AI. Is that something that you and your members are talking about?
Yeah, 100%. There are other reports that talk about 4 million workers being displaced with actually no economic safety net for them at all. no discussion about just transition. We view AI as the second coming of NAFTA. All kinds of promises were made to workers that were in the manufacturing sector that we now have a rust belt. We had no retraining, no fulfillment of promises. Imagine AI just taking over vast aspects of not only transportation, but every other area of the American economy with no discussion about what the economic fallout is going to be for workers, no discussion about just transition, no training. So we're going to have a situation where profiteers that seek AI to reduce headcount, to increase profits, that do not care about workers are going to land.
Do you have a contract right now? Where are you with your contract cycle?
So we have contracts in most of our properties across the country. And by the way, we're addressing AI everywhere we go, and particularly on the bus operator side, because bus operators are very vulnerable. Yeah. Every employer is trying to replace bus operators at some point with artificial intelligence, with automation. But in New York, where this has now taken root because of the veto of the conductor bill, the contract expires May 15th of 2026. We begin bargaining soon. We expect that this is going to come to the forefront, and we're going to fight it out.
So negotiations are going to begin.
Oh, yeah, they're coming. They're coming.
I was wondering about
I'm
that.
confused. How is AI going to replace a bus driver?
Well, there's Waymo vehicles that can't work in San Francisco, but apparently that's the push, according to.
But of all the buses
taxis.
I know, but we've taken buses before, and we see the nice old lady trying to get on, the little kid trying to get on. How does artificial intelligence identify the necessity to humanize the interaction of getting on a bus and making sure that people are seated and making sure that people can get on and off properly? I don't know how that would work.
Oh, no, but we're also going to have free buses next year, John.
Yeah.
Get ready for that.
Maybe that's how they're paying for it.
We're in favor of fare free buses, but there's a whole conversation that goes beyond the obvious. We have we have free sanitation, but it's free is a misnomer. Nothing is for
Nothing's
free.
free.
We want it built into the broader tax code. And we're not in disagreement with that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
We have to come back and keep us updated, especially as,
I would love that.
This starts. John Samuelsen, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to you. And, of course, your workers who keep us safe and do a great job on our subways.
We will.
And our
We're
buses.
going to fight to keep the system from being dehumanized.
Thank you so much.